What's up, guys? Eli here and Louie back for a new stuff video. Probably the last haul video I guess I'll do for the end of the year. Yeah. Anyways, let's get going. I have been buying. I know I've been talking about it. You guys are probably sick of hearing it. I've just been in this fucking crazy horror movie mode lately, so I feel like right now music is kind of taking backseat to my horror movie obsession, but it's still almost kind of a 50-50 split. But I have a lot of movies here, nice little stack. But I do have vinyl and I do have some CDs, so fear not. I'll even do the music first. That way you guys can skip class early if you want, if you don't care about the movies. But yeah, let's get started. I'll even start with a vinyl, so I can get that done and over with. We're gonna start off with a record that most of you aren't going to give half a shit about. But you prog fans, I know there's one or two prog fans that watch this channel, and so you might have something to say about this one. This is a record that's been on my radar for the last couple of years. Some of the prog channels I watch here on YouTube, like Sea of Tranquility and stuff like that, often bring this album up, so I figured I had to get it. I haven't listened to a lot of it yet, so I'm still kind of breaking it down. But we're talking about Todd Rundgren's Utopia with the 1974 album, right? Yeah, 1974 album, just titled self-titled. I can't remember if this is the first album from this project, but so you might know Todd Rundgren. He's been kicking around in the music world since I think since like the early 70s. He's made a lot of pop music. He's made a lot of he's kind of traversed a lot of genres. And so yeah, this was he had a project titled Todd Rundgren's Utopia. I kind of wish he'd just called it Utopia, but whatever. So this is a full-on prog band. This is the only thing I've ever heard from Utopia. I've heard that they kind of started off, like I said, very prog, but they kind of drifted off into, I don't know, kind of less proggier territory as the project went on. But he's released solo music, under the name Todd Rundgren for like, goddamn, 50 years, something like. He's still releasing music. Pretty crazy. So like I said, this is a full-on prog album with, okay, I don't have the track times. I mean, there's 15, 20-minute songs, full-blown prog epics and stuff like that. This is just an original release, standard vinyl. Nothing really to show. But yeah, I'm excited on kind of delving more into this, breaking it down, all that stuff. As much as I love prog, it is a challenging genre to listen to. But yeah, stoked for that one. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Next, I have a couple 7-inch picture discs from one of my all-time favorite bands, especially on the death metal end of things. So we're gonna start off with Impetigo with their EP Primitives, and this is also not only the EP Primitives, but this is a split. It was released as an EP, but also as a split release with Japanese death metal band Transgressor. Sorry. Yeah, awesome stuff. This is the Bizarre Leprous production version from 2017. I bought these from a buddy. You might still be able to get them from Bizarre Leprous. I'm really not sure. That is a label out of the Czech Republic, by the way, if you're not familiar. And they did this kind of like DIY insert, which I'm totally cool with. This is not... I bought this from a buddy, like I said. So this is kind of self-written note from Mark from Impetigo. But yeah, obviously it does not have my name on it. But Mark's a great guy. I bought a lot of stuff from him over the years, and he always includes like a little note. Just a sweet, sweet dude. So yeah, looks like the Impetigo side is live, recorded June 5th, 1988 in Illinois, where they are from. And yeah, the Transgressor stuff is, because I've heard the Impetigo Primitive EP. I'd never heard the Transgressor side, but Transgressor are a really, really, really cool, just nasty, gnarly death metal, like if you like Autopsy and Incantation and stuff like that. Transgressor should be absolutely your cup of tea. And then I have another 7-inch pick disc from Impetigo, the Buio Omega. Here, I'll take it out. The Buio Omega EP. I probably can't show that here. I don't know if that's gonna fuck my shit up. But this was also released from Bizarre Leprous production, not originally. Both these picture discs originally came out in the early '90s. But yeah, so these are represses. Yeah, definitely. I don't think either of them have any songs that don't make it on the first. Well, the only 2 full-length albums that they have, but I could be wrong. There might be a track or 2 that doesn't. Anyways, I probably can't show this, but I'm going to. There's the back with all the track listing stuff, and yeah, classic stuff. Like I said, I love Impetigo, one of my favorite death metal bands of all time. I really, really wish they'd had been able to release more music than they did, but, you know, they've got a pretty decent legacy to look back on. All right, had a couple CDs to show. Start off, this was sent to me by my good buddy Andy, who a lot of you guys know as well. He's pretty big in like the trading, trading scene, I guess we can call that. And he's just a great dude overall. Got to know him pretty well over this last year or two. So he sent me this Russian Rio live Rush album. I've always meant to get this, and I just never did. I do have the DVD, but I don't watch music DVDs a lot, so I'd much rather just listen to the CD. So yeah, this is at least 2 discs. Yeah, 2 discs. Not uncommon for a live Rush album. Not uncommon at all. So I have not listened to it yet, nor have I watched the DVD that I have yet. But this is, I have read many times that over the years, just overall, this is like one of Rush's, especially later on in their career. I've read that this is one of their better live albums. So that's really, really cool. Rush is, arguably my all-time favorite band. They really did give it their all. Even in their older days, near the end of their career, they were still playing really well, making good music, and stoked to listen to this. The cover's kind of dorky, but whatever. It's fun, and I just love Rush so much. Also picked this up. I have this on cassette tape, and I have showed that recently, but I randomly found the CD, and of course I snagged it. This is the 1995 release from Kansas, Freaks of Nature. I will say, I hadn't heard this until like this year, and I've only got into Kansas over the last like 5 or 6 years. I had really no expectations for this. I was thinking like Kansas in the 90s. I know for a fact they were going through hard times, as were a lot of, pretty much almost all the legacy bands. The 90s was kind of a barren wasteland in, for a lot of musical genres. But this album is really fucking good, man. I don't know why I don't hear people talk about it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overhyping it, but I think this is fantastic. I think this is a return to form for Kansas. They were absolutely, playing kind of a modern take on early 70s Kansas. I think this is just great. I think this is one of their better albums that did not come out in the 70s. I like a lot of their 80s stuff, and I think this, again, I don't know why I don't hear people talk about it, but I think this competes with anything they did throughout the entire decade of the 80s. They did make some solid music in the 80s, don't get me wrong, but I think this might actually be better. Better than anything they did in the 80s, and I think this might be the best thing they did up until the last 2 albums, which I have talked about, and they are fantastic. If you're into Kansas even at all, and you did not listen to those last 2 albums that they did, definitely rectify that, because they are just super fucking good. So it's really cool to see a legacy band, still putting out, challenging music and pushing themselves as songwriters and musicians, so late in their career. It's a rare thing, I gotta say. Last but not least for the CDs anyways, we got, I did not know this was coming out. I don't know when it came out. I think it fairly recently, but this was just a total random find at my local record store. A band I've listened to for many, many years, and an album that I've heard quite a few times over the years, but never owned a copy. We're talking about Behemoth, I never knew how to pronounce this. Seventith, I don't know, Storming to the Baltic. It is their first full-length album from, I think, 95, if I remember correctly. And this is a really nice, slick digibook version from Metal Blade Records. 2 discs, $15. I think that is, to me, that I think that is a huge compliment from Metal Blade. I think they could, a package like this could have easily costed $20 or $25. Charging just, $15, the same price as any new CD. I think this is a huge gift to the fans, and I really respect Metal Blade for doing that. Putting something out this cool for, such a low price. So anyway, so what you have is the, obviously you have the album, then you have a second disc with, it's got some unreleased stuff on here. It's really, really cool. I don't remember which tracks, but there are some tracks that were for a solo project that Nergal from the band did in the mid-90s or whatever. So it's really cool to have those on here. And then I think there's some live stuff. Anyway, it's not a bonus disc full of garbage. It's a bonus disc that actually has stuff that you really, really want to hear, which to me is rare. Usually, any 2-disc album, I buy it for the album, and I almost, I consider the second disc almost garbage every time. So, yeah, this thing is really nice. You might remember I bought the what was it, that EP that they did before this. I have a terrible memory. Was it From the Pagan Vastlands? I don't remember. But anyway, they re-released an EP and in this package just like this for Metal Blade in the same digibook with the gold lettering, and yeah, this is just awesome. It's got a huge booklet. I'm still reading it. It's almost like a mini book. There's got to be at least 30 pages here or something. It's a lot to read, and it's high quality stuff. This they could not have done a better job. It's got all kinds of interviews with the 2 guys in the band at the time, and then you have interviews with the guy that ran Pagan Records who originally released this album. You have an interview with the guy that did the cover art, and then you have interviews with just old dudes from the scene, like guys from Sarcophago and stuff like that. It's just really, really fucking cool. There's not one wasted page on here. Everything is just perfect. So if you're a fan of Behemoth, which I am totally bored by their newer material. I am not probably going to buy any more new releases from this band. I kind of jumped ship, years ago, but their early black metal stuff is just phenomenal. I don't hear a lot of people talk about it nowadays. I think the underground black metal fans are kind of over this band, and that's fine. But if you're in the '90s, second wave black metal, you can't discount the early Behemoth material. That's just doing a disservice to yourself. So super happy. That's probably my favorite re-release of the year. So happy to have it. Anyways, we're getting into the movies now. So if you guys are leaving early, I get it, but I do appreciate those of you that stick around and watch my horror movie stuff too, because I'm equally as passionate about film as I am music. So this movie I'd been wanting to see for a while, and I have watched it already, and it was very, very good. We're talking about Regression. Ethan Hawke, Emma Watson. This is one of those movies that's kind of it definitely has some horror movie influences, but I wouldn't really call it a horror movie. It's more of a thriller, but there's definitely kind of a horror spin on it. This is directed by Alexandro Amenabar, who has directed a couple of movies that were fairly well known. I actually can't remember which. I always thought Ethan Hawke was pretty cool, and he's a good actor, I think. Okay, he directed The Others, and that was pretty good. I actually would like to rewatch that. Right on the fucking cover, too. Director of The Others. So this movie is based on some actual shit that actually happened. This takes place in 1990, and it is about basically the whole satanic panic thing that happened in the 80s and the 90s. Happened here in the U.S. pretty heavily, but from what I understand, it kind of happened all over the fucking world. So it is about that, and I'll just leave it there. Really, really cool movie. There are, the spin they put on this, I never saw coming. I'm not that clever when it comes to movies anyways, but yeah, pretty good movie. This next one, these are movies that I've always known about, never really planned on watching because I always just kind of figured they're, your typical 80s style, although this came out in the early 90s, but your typical 80s, American horror that's just super forgettable and dated. And in a way, yes, but in a way, no. I'm talking about the first two Wishmaster movies. Got one of those double feature things. The first Wishmaster, I gotta say, was great. I enjoyed the hell out of it. The second one, not nearly as much, but it's still pretty decent. So yeah, you might be familiar with Wishmaster if you've been watching horror for a long time, but definitely check out the first one. It's a blast. And these next few, I've either never heard of, but I definitely never have seen. This one right here, never heard of this. But it does have some directors and some artists involved that I am familiar with. So that's kind of why I bought it. But this is a Japanese anthology. It's called Rampo Noir. 4 chilling tales into the mind of madness. So yeah, I definitely like a lot of Japanese horror, as do many of you. So yeah, I'm really stoked to watch that. And I do love a good anthology as well. This next one is an Asian movie also. I think it's Chinese. This is a Chinese movie. Anyways, I've only barely heard of it, but I've read pretty good things. And this was another Shudder original, which I've talked about here on the channel. I've been really, really impressed with the Shudder original so far. I have not seen one yet that I did not like. So this is Mon Monsters. Sounds very cool. I'm very stoked to watch it. Just about a group of school kids who, they go into an go into an old building and find some basically zombies. And that's all I really know about it. Yeah, really stoked to watch it. This next one is from the 70s. 1976. This is a Larry Cohen film. I've only kind of vaguely heard of this one, so I gotta say I'm not that familiar, but it sounds just fucking wild. Some of you old horror fans might know a little bit about this, but God Told Me to Kill. It's actually just called God Told Me To. I always thought it was God Told Me to Kill because I'd seen this DVD around, but it's God Told Me To. So this is about pretty much a horror movie based on just like a religious nut, which is right the fuck up my alley. Here's the original movie poster. So yeah, very stoked to watch this. It just sounds like it's just really over the top, and I'm already very into it. So this movie, oh my god, I probably wouldn't have bought this. It's one of those movies that I kind of bought on accident because there's an 80s movie, and I don't know why I thought this was the same movie. Who knows? There's an 80s movie, or maybe 90s, of the same title, and I just kind of grabbed this thinking it was the same movie, even though this is clearly a much more modern movie. So we got Creature. From what I've heard, it's absolutely terrible. Sid Haig is in it, so that's cool. I've heard it's got some decent monster effects, and other than that, it's just fucking garbage. So I don't know. You guys seen Creature? What do you think? And next we have a Belgian movie, which I haven't seen a lot of Belgian movies. Never heard of this at all, but of course, upon finding this at the store, I had to get it. Check this out. It's called Cub. From what I've read, it's kind of like an exploitation movie. Comes out on some indie studio called Artsploitation Films. Came out in 2015. I've read some reviews. I've read that it's actually a pretty decent movie. And yeah, really, really stoked to check it out. And last but not least, so lately I have been kind of rediscovering a lot of like the water monster movies, because I am terrified of water. I'm not gonna lie, and I think there's just something about monsters in the water that for me is literally the most scary thing you can imagine. Space also scares the fuck out of me, but water just terrifies me. So I got this old, I have heard of it before, but I just never really had the desire to seek it out. But Deep Star 6. This came out 1988, and yeah, it's one of your typical you know, water exploration movies, you know, government or whatever, you know, exploring the ocean, looking to build a base or whatever, and then enter aliens or monsters. But show the back. Yeah, stoked to watch it because, like I said, this kind of shit just scares the fuck out of me. So, all right, guys, that's it. I put this video together just because I didn't want to quite start on my end of year music video. We're gonna start on that soon. I'll probably have it out before the end of the year, if not the first week of January. So, anyways, thanks for hanging on with me here. Thanks for watching. I gotta go. Louis says hello and goodbye. We'll talk soon, guys. Cheers.